Welcome to Lose Lips, all the things you wanted to say but didn't know how to say it. Today's topic is on abortion. This is actually a really sore topic for me. I'm not sure how the men feel on this topic, but as a woman, the recent Supreme Court ruling cut me deep. For so long, women have been made feel less than equal to men. It hasn't been until the last decade, really, that we have been pushing and reaching the glass ceiling, and have been either proven superior or equal to our men counterparts. I say this in terms of pay, promotion, rights, respect. Why now, when we are just getting to the top, does the Supreme Court come and burst our bubble? To have the audacity to strike down Roe versus Wade and deem it unconstitutional. Who are these people that are sitting in on our Supreme Court? There are those who to they are supposed to uphold the law and be the ultimate when interpreting the law. What they have done has placed us back in the dark ages. First and foremost, there is always supposed to be the separation of the state. But when you look at these Supreme Court justices, and I'm talking about the most recent that were chosen under Trump, they are all very conservative. And to me, they are putting their personal beliefs into the law. They have upset not only the balance of the country, but have disturbed the balance of women's rights everywhere. And I tell you, the entire world is asking, what is going on in the United States? Everyone is now looking at us and are questioning us as the leading power of the world. So now you have the Supreme Court has struck down the women's rights to have abortions. Immediately, there were states that have placed a trigger law into effect, which automatically bans abortions. Women are terrified. There are some states that are even threatening to not let women leave the state to go to another state to have an abortion where it is not illegal. I was so upset to wake up one morning to look at my LinkedIn page, and there was a woman from Tennessee who stated she actually tried to renew her contraceptive and was told that it is now illegal to even get the contraceptive. This is an outrage. I mean, come on. What are you doing? Protests have gone all over the country and even the world outlawing what the Supreme Justice has done. This is being talked about so much now, even in other countries. People are saying now only the rich will be able to have sex and have abortions. I was actually watching one of those judge shows the other day, and again in Tennessee. A woman was taking her ex-boyfriend to court. She apparently had an abortion out of state, and he was opposed to it. He decided to tell their church what she had done. Upon her return back to Tennessee, her parents disowned her. Her church not only reprimanded her, but banned her. The woman won her case, and her thought was, it's my body, my choice. The man felt he should have had a say in it as well. But it is not the man that carries the baby for 9 months, not the man that goes through childbirth, not the man that will have to breastfeed. The woman made the decision she felt was best for her and her body. I applaud her, but this case brings about the stigma that many in our society will place upon women for their right to choose. The vast number of abortions occur from low income or minorities, or even dangerous pregnancies, or even rape. Why would you possibly have these women in these situations go through a pregnancy that they do not want? If the Supreme Court did this to have people not have sex, it's not going to work. It is going to have the opposite effect. There are now men in Florida who are rushing to have vasectomies so that they don't get anyone pregnant. And that brings up an entirely different point. Why not have men have vasectomies instead of taking away a woman's right to choose? Now you have placed upon America, once again, where you will have dangerous abortions in back rooms, or women trying to give themselves abortions, or even women having babies and then killing them. I don't care how many safe havens there are for women to have their babies and turn them over. Many don't even want to go through a pregnancy at all. For those that do decide to go ahead with the pregnancy, they would either keep the baby and face whatever is in store for them, lower income, welfare, poverty, which is going to strain the economy, or you will have the women give up their babies for adoption or placed in a foster care system which is already overcrowded, already dysfunctional. To me, this is all strange because the majority of the justices are old, so they may not even live to see the outcome or effects of what they have done. You have to wonder what's going to happen next. Are they going to now say gay marriages are no longer legal? Are they going to say that, affirmative action to be struck down? I mean, what is next for the justices of the Supreme Court? And who are they to decide what a woman can and can't do with their very own body? Something has to be done. It's high time that we look at the Supreme Court and actually see what they're doing and decide if it is even the best thing for what we need for this country. There have been some that have said that when President Biden was elected and became president, that he should have even add more Supreme Court justices because people predicted this happening. Right now, these Supreme Court justices are very conservative. And is it a conservative society that we want for our country? Or is it an impartial society where we want everything to be, fair? This is what we have to look at now. And I really do think that something needs to be done and very soon, very quickly. Maybe President Biden needs to add more justices so that something like this will not happen again. But right now, what this Supreme Court has done has put a lot of danger, not only into the country itself, but on women themselves. Women now feel like not only are we going backwards, but that we are in a situation where we don't feel respected. We don't feel that we're equal. We don't feel that we get to have the same sort of rights that men do. These are our bodies. We should be able to decide what we can and can't do with our very own bodies. There was talk about this 10-year-old that literally was in, I believe, in the state of Ohio and was denied an abortion and had to travel to Indiana to get an abortion. There was an uproar for the doctor who actually performed the abortion and that she was even allowed to have an abortion. But there's such a deeper issue that no one is even looking at or even contemplating. How and why did the 10-year-old even get pregnant in the first place? There are some that are saying that, she was raped by a family member. There are some that are saying that she was raped outside of her family. But regardless of the fact, the 10-year-old should not have been in this predicament at all. And taking away safe and legal abortions, these are the kind of things that are coming to light that were not in the eyes of the states now that Roe versus Wade has been overturned. I was reading an article about a doctor that said that maybe what we should do is have abortions on federal land where it is a criminal act to do anything to anyone on federal land. Or you can even have abortions on international waters, and boats will take the people back and forth. So yeah, it is bringing up a lot of topics. There are a lot of companies and states that are opening up their doors and opening up avenues for women to still have and maintain safe abortions, which I'm actually really glad to see. Some major companies have said if you work at this company, we will have you travel to where you want to go and pay for your hotel room so that you can have a safe abortion. Of course, this is going to bring up HIPAA laws because then that person will then have to tell HR what they're doing. But I am happy to see that there are people that are willing and major companies that are actually willing to put us back into the current century instead of taking away women's rights. There are still a lot of protests that are still going on very, very strongly, and this is not something that is going to go away. There have been some people who said that President Biden now should increase the amount of judges that are on the Supreme Court or just get rid of it altogether. It's very, very obvious that these judges that are there now are not separating church from state. They're bringing in their own values, they're bringing in their own religious beliefs, and they are not doing what is constitutionally responsible and correct for people of America. There are a lot of men now that are feeling the need to go and have vasectomies, and not just in Florida. And these are young men in their 20s and their 30s who are saying, you know what, there's no way I'm going to end up getting somebody pregnant, which I have to commend them for. But then there also brings up another thing. If you're trying to dictate what happens to a woman's body, now when a woman gets pregnant, it takes two. So now you've taken away the women's right. But what about taking away the man's right as well? What about forcing men to have vasectomies so that they can't have any children? Or, it's not just the woman's fault that she became pregnant. And this is something that is not being discussed at all. Yes, there are some men that will just walk away and not have anything to do with the pregnancy. But in the long run, you're going to find that what's going to happen, not only are you going to have people that can't get an abortion resort to tactics that we heard of back in, I think it was in like the 50s, when people used coat hangers or tried poison, or people that had the babies and then buried them or throw them away in a dumpster. You're going to see a lot of that because there are just so many people that might not even know that they're pregnant at 6 weeks, which is the limit in some of these states. There are so many people that might not even want to have another baby. And these are the sort of things that we really need to take into consideration. I have to admit, as an American, I'm really disappointed to see what the Supreme Court did in terms of overturning Roe versus Wade. I understand that they're getting a lot of death threats right now. There are Supreme Court judges that were in favor of this, but I think I'm literally with my mouth held open that this would even happen in this day and age. United States actually used to be a country where you can say that, we were millennials, we were advanced, we were very much in tune of the future and everything. But now it seems like we're going backwards. There are a lot of nations that are now looking at us and saying, what is the problem with America? What's going on? I mean, over in Europe, it's very easy to get abortions. You can literally take a pill or you can literally go in and have a procedure done. It's not a big deal. You have all these things where people are bringing up as soon as there's conception, then that unborn baby or person has the right. But then you think in terms of look at all the children that are in foster care. Look at all the children that are waiting to be adopted. Is it going to help or is it going to hurt? And all of these people that are so pro-life, are you going to open up your doors? Are you willing to have to spend your tax dollars to handle all the influx of kids that may now come about? Increase welfare, increase childcare. These are the things that people are not looking at. And incredibly, which actually surprised me, it's not only the poor and unfortunate that are not able to sometimes have abortions, but surprisingly, demographics are showing that it's low income Caucasians that will be affected the most, not just the blacks or brown population. And for those that will be giving up their babies for adoption, you're basically going to overwhelm the system. And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. This is going to prevent a lot of people getting ahead in terms of what they wanted to do, in terms of going to school, or if they even need to get out of a dangerous situation. States are now trying to put in place where you can't have an abortion in their state, yet you have people traveling to Florida, New York, New Jersey, California to have these abortions, which is stressful in itself. I'm only hoping that one day these Supreme Court judges that are sitting and deciding on what they feel should happen for the rest of the country, I really hope that it hits them home. And it might sound like a hard thing to say, but you know what? Let it come to their doorstep so that you can see, or they can even see, what other people are going through. Let's see what happens if their daughters or their nieces or their grandkids end up getting pregnant and they don't want to go through the pregnancy. What then? Are they going to tell them you just have to have the child, force them into marriage? Are you actually going to raise that child? Are they going to use their influence? Are they going to use their influence to have them travel to another state, that put them into a private abortion, which they are denying the majority of Americans? Now, in these states that no longer have abortion rules and people that are making these laws and everything, they aren't thinking in terms of everyone. They're thinking, oh, it's not going to happen to me. But you know what? Somewhere, somehow, it is going to come to your doorstep. Just you wait. So I leave you with this. And it's not just about what goes around comes around either. Don't for any moment think that these justices that are carving out the lives of the American people are saints. The skeletons in their closets, as well as anyone's closets, are probably enough to make people blush. But if you think for one moment that if a member of their family was pregnant, raped, had a life or death situation involving a pregnancy, that they would not resort to looking for the alternative. After all, they are human just like the rest of us. Thank you for listening to Loop's Lips, and until then, next time.